Actually, I made them bigger print just because of you guys. So I'm just letting you know I did that on purpose. So I turned it on. So I think it's working. I don't know. Testing, testing. It's green. Oh boy, now you're coming right at me. That's right, I'm big. Anyway. Okay, I guess we'll get started. Let me get this thing started. Oh yeah. It's crazy. Exactly. All right, you all ready? Let's get started. All right, here we go. Good evening, and welcome to another Wednesday night
on the Grand Strand.
Yes. That's for you, Jay. Anyway, so thank you all. I appreciate that. I wasn't sure whether you were going to go for it or not. So I think he has it copyrighted or patented, whatever it is. So anyway. So tonight we're going to talk about something that's dear to my heart. Money. Money. I love it, right? So there's 3 buckets of money. And forgive me, I'm going to take my glasses off. So, yeah, I think it's on. No? Yeah, I can hear it. Anyway, so there's 3 big buckets of money. You can spend it, you can save it, or you can give it, right? There's a lot of other ways of being sophisticated, but basically that's the only thing you can do with money. So here's the cool thing is, if you can do all 3, you're actually considered a well-rounded adult. So we're going to see where everyone is. So in Scripture, we're going to start with Scripture here. In Psalm 24, verse 1, it says, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it." In Luke 16:11, it says, "If you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth," we know what that means at the end. So money is not just financial. It's spiritual. We don't own it. We manage it. Because every dollar we handle is something that God has entrusted in us, or entrusted to us, I should say. Our financial stewardship is demonstrated in how we handle that money in the 3 different ways, which are spending, saving, giving. So here's a question that you don't have to answer. There'll be others you will. If everything belongs to God, how should that change the way we use money? So let's start with spending, okay? So spending reflects our priorities, right? It reveals our hearts. That we should honor God with every dollar. That seems like a high level to accomplish. But if you go back into Scripture, which I got plenty of, so get ready. Oh, by the way, the handouts that you've received, if you haven't, I have some additional ones. So has everyone received a handout? Have not. Beth, can you now? So I put on the back a notes section for you. So you can write some notes if you want. But later on, we'll be reviewing what's on the front side of that paper. So in Scripture, in Matthew 6:21, it says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And in Proverbs 21:5, it says, the plans of the diligent lead to profit. And then finally, in 1 Corinthians 10:31, whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. So I have 4 points I want to go over about spending. Every purchase answers a deeper question. What do I value? Am I honoring God with this? Uncontrolled spending often reflects other things, like impulse over discipline, emotion over wisdom, and sometimes culture over conviction, how we're raised. So God calls us to intentionality, not reaction, when it comes to spending. So now here's a question for you. Here we go. In what ways can spending become a substitute for emotional comfort or stress release? This is one you can answer. Yes?
I go on Amazon. I said I go on Amazon.
Oh, you go on it? Yes. Yes, you go on Amazon. That's a good one. Anything else? So, how about it gives you a sense of control, right?
It's a form of entertainment.
Ah, form of entertainment. From the yes, exactly. Now we can just do everything, and it even gets delivered to our homes. Next day, exactly. It helps to regulate our mood. Some people actually, I can't believe this, because I know it's no one in here, but some people actually go out buying in a social setting, thinking that they're actually connecting with other people. Now, when you're out shopping for you, it's you. But it makes you feel good, right? Yes, sir.
I have a friend who goes shopping regularly, and she's on the wall at every store because she returns it all the next day. She enjoys shopping, and she enjoys buying, and then she returns.
It's getting that sale or something, right? Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, guess what? Guess what else it does for you, too? It triggers these, what they call neurochemical rewards. Like dopamine and endorphins. Like, I love to work out, and then I get all this energy and stuff, right? Same thing with people in shopping. It gives them the same amount of energy. So, if you're looking for someone to do something for you, take them shopping first. Who knows? Anyway, I'm just joking. So, now we're going to talk a little bit about a budget, and I'm a financial coach. I've been doing it for several years now. And the funny part is, I keep telling people, budgeting is not a restriction. It's a direction, okay? So without a plan or without a budget, okay, you know what? Money tends to disappear quicker, right? Important priorities get neglected. Oh, yeah, well, I was in line and there was that giant Butterfinger bar. By the way, I noticed I cannot go through a grocery store and find a regular candy bar. They're now all king-size candy bars, like 2 candy bars. I just want one, so can I, anyway, or I'll just bring Beth and maybe she'll have one with me. I don't know. Anyway, so, and it also, stress increases without that plan. Now, when you have a plan, spending aligns to your values, right? Because you know exactly where your money's going to go. Your needs are covered. That's the first thing you do. You pay those bills, those utility bills, those rent bills, the mortgage bill. You don't pay those, someone's going to come get you, right? And then giving and saving become intentional. So what I always tell people is budgeting is simply I or you tell your money where you want it to go instead of wondering where it went. Yes, Steve.
Cash is tougher part with the credit card. If you go to a theme park or a cruise, you don't have a credit card or cash. They give you a wrist bracelet, an ID, and everything automatically goes on your account. And you don't see the reckoning when you get off the ship.
When you get off the ship, exactly.
And the bill comes to be paid after the Walt Disney theme parks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
some
we know.
that it's easier to get a hold of part with the money if they don't see it as money. It's the same reason they use chips. No more silver dollars at casinos.
Oh, it's just all chips now. Yeah.
Silver dollars, that's real money. It's painful.
Yeah.
to lose that.
Oh, it is hard. I've tried to pull money from people, and it's not easy. Although originally the one I used to say was the best salesperson were these Girl Scouts with the Girl Scout cookies. But guess what? I came out of a Walmart. We use a debit card. It works sort of like a credit card, but it only comes out of your bank account. And doggone it, what did I do? Oh, I can buy 2 boxes. Even with a debit card, I still had that impulse buy that I shouldn't have done, but we enjoyed them. So, anyway, I always make sure I get Thin Mints and then whatever I want. So, anyway, so let's hear, I got a question for you. So what kind of system or habit could we use to become more intentional with spending? We said it generally, we said budget, but budget's such a big word. Ah, okay, so you record everything. Ooh, that takes a lot of diligence. That's great if you can do that. Yes. Say again? We set our limits. Yeah, we put in things. I mentioned to you that I'm a financial coach. I follow Dave Ramsey's plan, and they call it the everyday app, every dollar app, and it's called a zero-based budget. So what you're supposed to do is catch up with either your spouse or a person who's going to make you responsible or accountable, but you meet the month before and you decide, what are we going to spend next month? So it's funny because normally Beth and I, when we budgeted, it was more of a higher level kind of budget, right? But when we retired and moved here, I didn't know what we were going to be spending. So for 3 months, I made her go through, we did this budget process, and it was really good because now she knows exactly what we have to do, because I know, I get a paycheck, but after this time of the year, it goes away a lot. So we have to pay ourselves out of our retirement funds, you know? But how do you know? In the past, it used to be Phil made this, and that's why. So, but other people have used things called an envelope process, okay? I did that as well. When our company, instead of laying off people, they said, well, every other Friday, you're off, and you're not getting paid. That's how they saved the 10%. But what was nice is once we got back into making money, no one lost, you didn't lose a 10% pay cut. So it was really cool that way. But yeah, if you're a visual person, like you said, you know, use envelopes. You know, you make everything else that's fixed auto pay, and you just do envelopes. And we did that, and it was funny how much money we saved when we did envelopes. Still don't know why we don't do that now. But anyway, so let's also talk about as income increases, right? You know, some of us are further along, probably not going to be getting, like myself, not going to be getting the increases in pay like I used to. But there is that point where you go and you get that nice raise, or you get that bonus, right? And so you're like, oh, this is awesome. And then you turn around and shortly thereafter, it's gone. Well, where did it go? Well, yeah, we have a new TV. We got a brand new car. I mean, that's a nice bonus if you can get a car. But, you know, there are bonuses out there like that. So that's just something you have to be very careful about because it's very demotivating. It really is. You just like, you wonder why you're working. And let me explain. The danger is you start to feel stuck financially. Like, doggone it, I'm making $500,000 a year and I don't have nothing to show for it. I don't, by the way. But it would be cool, right? But you haven't gained any ground. It's like, oh man. This is why when I coach folks, especially younger folks, I know they have so much more potential. And if we could lock things down now, all that other is just what they call icing on the cake, right? So it's also, as a byproduct, guess what else happens? Generosity decreases, you know, because you're so focused on you and, man, I don't have the money. I can't give you anything. I'm sorry. I can't give you a dime, but, you know. But I just got a new TV. If you want, you can watch it with me, you know, that kind of thing. You know, dependence on income increases. Here's the thing. This is the thing I got caught in, and I'm a finance guy too, is that, you know, I just need to earn a little bit more to get over that hump, right? We've all had the hump, right? It's like, man, if I could just, but you know that pay does come. The pay increase comes, or the bonus comes, or something else happens. You change jobs and you're making a lot more money. And then it's called that little scope creep, we used to call it, or spend creep. So, but God calls us to do other things. He calls us to live below our means, right? To resist comparison. That's where we get caught too as well. And to practice something that my wife likes to say a lot, contentment, okay? And that one is a hard one too, isn't it? Can you be content? Well, yes, if I had a giant Butterfinger in my hand right now, I'd be very content. So, if someone, this is your question for you, if someone was to review your bank account from last month, what conclusions might they draw about your priorities? Bills, okay. Eating out? You can eat out? You're allowed? Wow. Well, you better do that before the ring's on it. But anyway, no. I'm just joking with you. So, very true, very true. Like my list was eat out a lot. I'm not lying. I mean, when we did our budget, as you say, you tell your money where to go. We're not into cooking as much as we used to, right? Love Legos. That's in the budget there. Eat out a lot. Oh, did I say that one already? Yeah. You had to put it in twice. Entertainment. It's all about the experiences now, right? Large ticket items, maybe not so much. But how about to satisfy my impulses? Excuse me. I was at work up in North Carolina, and I came across vending machines, and I always kept coins in me. I didn't have any coins. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really need that Nutty Buddy, whatever. It's so good. It's so bad for you, but it's so good. Anyway, so I went up there, and I'm like, oh. And the person next to me is like, do you have a card? I'm like, yeah, I got a debit card. Come here. Put it right on there. I could get anything I wanted now. That was so cool. I learned that vending machines now accept cards. My wife asked me, she watches the bank account daily, and she asked me, what's this $1.25 thing? I was like, I don't, and it was a weird name, that's always this company name. I was like, I don't know. I think someone's trying to rip us off. Later on, I figured it out. It was the candy. Anyway, so just be careful. Just be careful. So, debt. Ooh, I hate that name. Debt. Got it.
Before you jump to debt,
You afraid?
and just before the wall came down, what they had in East Germany was television from the West. And they saw the lifestyle that the West had. And my friends they never expected to see the wall come down and see family that was blocked at the East. And when it did, they found out it was Levi's. It was the drive of the East Germans to achieve the stuff, their goods,
Yeah.
the shelves that were full at the supermarkets on the western side. And they saw it courtesy of TV. And essentially, lifestyle brought the wall down because they wanted it.
Well, yeah, it took people to want it. You're right. Because if it was just the government saying it, they would just yell for years and nothing would happen. But
You mentioned it's what you see and you want.
Yep.
Somebody else has got.
Exactly.
It's that powerful.
Okay, awesome, very good, appreciate it. So debt, it distorts spending decisions, right? We spend tomorrow's dollars today. Don't get her laughing. You lose financial freedom, you really do. And you know what? You create long-term pressure, right? Now, I understand, the one thing that Dave Ramsey does talk about, the debt he's okay with is a mortgage, because hopefully you're going to be in an asset that's appreciating versus depreciating, like a car or anything else. But it's interesting that, God's wisdom encourages us to have patience. That's the key, that impulse. Something I don't, self-control, impulse. Living within your means. Okay. So how can budgeting become a spiritual discipline rather than a burden? What do you think?
Consider giving God the first amount, all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Consider giving to be the first.
So instead of spending on yourself, you're giving for, excellent, excellent, yes, yes. How about like intentional decisions? We talked about planning, right? Every dollar has a purpose, right? Creating a spiritual budget. And people are like, what in the world? You told me to do a financial one. Now you want a spiritual one. Which way? Which way? It's about, what do I give to? Do I give to causes? Like you just said, do I give to something else? Do I invest in self-care? A lot of us, I don't want to go to the doctors. I don't want to do that. I want to do that. Why? Maybe it's because you don't have the money, right? That's what we're talking about. You're spending it on something else, possibly, maybe not. It helps support relationships. I will be your friend if you give me money. No, that didn't come out right. Anyway, you plan trips or experiences that inspire or uplift you. It's not like, well, we're just going to go to the casino and blow our money and woohoo, we're having a great time. So here's a question, but you don't have to answer this one. What spending habit do you sense God making? What spending habit do you sense God may be asking you to surrender? So just think about that, okay? All right, are we good on spending? Let's move over to saving. This is where the fun begins. So, saving is an act of wisdom, not fear, okay? It's in Scripture. In Proverbs 6 through 8, it talks about the ants that are storing up provisions, right? Proverbs 21:20, the wise store up. And then Ecclesiastes 11:2, invest in 7 ventures. That's where investing your money, So guess what? I have 4 points we're going to go over. Saving reflects wisdom and foresight. God designed us to prepare, not to panic, right? Saving helps us handle emergencies, reduce stress, and avoid debt. It's not a lack of faith. It's an obedience to wisdom. So saving is good, but it can also be it can become sinful. Phil, how does that happen? Well, I'll tell you. How about that? So, if it replaces your trust in God, that's not good. If it becomes hoarding, okay, I know people who have hoarded. And by the way, no, you can't take it with you. Because if you think you can take it with you, someone will say, well, I'll take your bank account, I'll write you out a check, and I'll put it on your coffin, and you have a ball. Sorry. And it feeds fear instead of faith, right? The goal is save responsibly and then trust completely. As a reminder, your security is not in your savings, it's in your Savior, right? So, question. Oh, another one. Here we go. What emotions do you associate with saving and why? So, what emotions do you associate most with saving and why? Yes, Julie? What? A feeling of responsibility. Control, right? A sense of accomplishment. Security, yes. Reducing that uncertainty that we don't want. Yes, Steve.
How many years ago was it that loan sharks who were charging 15% interest were put in jail? And now we have credit cards with 25% interest rates.
Yeah.
You get 5 or 10 of them in the mail tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Our culture has really tended
Steve said the wise man runs up his credit cards, then dies. Technically, no, there's no responsibility except the estate, but I won't get into that detail. Yeah. Well, what was interesting up at Penn State, myself and others, as we were coming up to graduation, you picked up your cap and your gown, and there was all the credit card applications with all the little prizes and stuff. Hey, if you take this, you get a slice of pizza. Oh yeah, I'll sign anything. I don't know how many I signed, but luckily I didn't go forward with a lot of them. But I know a couple students, well, they're old like me now, but anyway, one guy had almost $100,000 of credit, hadn't worked a day in his life. I guess they expected he'd be doing well. I hope he didn't spend all that money. Anyway, but yeah, and anxiety, will I have enough? Because saving, it's a balance game we gotta play. So practical saving includes emergency funds. If you ever talk to me, that's the first thing I'm gonna try to figure out if you have it or not, okay? Retirement planning, for those of us who are in it as well, by the way. We're living longer. You might have planned this, and now you gotta live to this. You gotta adjust sometimes. Healthcare considerations, that's huge now. We all know about that. So without savings, emergencies become crises now. It's falling apart, the sky's falling. Debt becomes the default solution. Oh, I will tell you this. One of the things I've noticed with some of the folks I coach, medical debt. Man, used to be credit card debt, buying a car. Those are the worst things. No. And you know what? It wasn't your fault. Well, it could have been, but it usually is not your fault that you ended up with these medical bills. It's just very expensive, right? And so what does the hospital say? We'll put you on a payment plan. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You're going to work till you're 95, but you'll be fine. That work is probably what put you in that situation, maybe. I don't know. It probably did me. So anyway, question I have for you is, what could be some financial what-ifs if we are unprepared for? So what are some things that we're not ready for? Shout them out.
The wife's reaction to the crisis.
The way.
Whether it's a young marriage, a medium age, or a 50-year marriage, financial crises can be rough on marriages.
All right. Well, I did have something in here. It said loss of a spouse, but I guess that's worse. But anyway. I'm going to get it later on. Don't worry about it. Everything's cool. Maybe. So how about like those sudden job losses? Spirit. Tens of thousands of people lost their jobs overnight. Bang. That's crazy. We talked about medical emergencies. How about that thing called, car repairs? Ooh, I don't like those. I'm telling you, I used to work, my dad and we used to work on our cars. By the way, we were not very good. Never try to change a timing belt without the proper tool. You will never get there. And then you'll have a what do you call those? A tow truck come and pull your car out of the garage. She saw the whole thing. It was funny. We're sad. But anyway, identity theft, fraud, war. Yeah. The job you have? Well, it'll probably be there, but you're gone for a year or two or whatever it was, Yeah, my father had that. Gosh. Oh, well. Funny part about my dad, he tried to get in the Army. They said, oh, no, you can't. You got this situation. So he went to the Navy. No. He went to the Air Force. And they finally said, and he was trying to get to Vietnam. And they're like, yeah, okay, we'll take you. And then my mom's like, I'm pregnant with this guy. And so they're like, oh, sorry, you can't. He's like, oh, I didn't get it. But anyway, that's a interesting thing. But anyway, I don't think I would have been jumping to go over, but oh well. And then market downturns. We all talk about our 401ks, our IRAs, Roth, everything, brokerage accounts. So it's like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? So another question I have for you is, how large would your emergency fund need to be to make you feel safe? 3 months? 3 to 6 months. Oh, we got some Ramsey people here. I like that. You raised it. You got to throw out something. Maynard raised his hand. We're waiting. So yeah, normally if you'd say, if you have a stable 2-income family, or if you're in retirement and you have income coming from multiple, 3 months to 6 months. If you're a 1-income family, I would try to get to 6 months, because again, if that one person lost their job or for something else happened, you're gonna need some time. But how about like an unstable income? Like some people who are salesmen, who are salespeople who are, in some years they're making hundreds of thousands, in other years they make 10,000. Life can change quickly on you. So just remember, we talk about 3 to 6 months of living expenses. We're not talking about your income, okay? So you might make $50,000, but in reality, throughout the year, you spend $30,000. That's the piece we're talking. So you would take a quarter of that, or a half of that, or a full amount of that. It's up to you how you feel. So Luke 12 warns about storing wealth without purpose. He says, I got a question for you, actually. How do you determine when enough savings enough? And we brought that up. First thing is, it's different. Everybody's different.
Ask your wife. She'll tell you.
Go ahead.
Anybody that wants to know when enough is enough, ask the wife.
Ask the wife. Okay, anyway. They can't hear you, right? That's good. Well, other things you should ask yourself is this, is my savings helping me serve God and others? Okay? How about, is it freeing me to invest in my family, right? Like, what am I doing with the time I used to work, right? Am I just watching TV all day long? Or am I actually doing something? Do I come to the church and help out, like the day before Easter, so that the kids can have a great time or whatever? Hoarding is something where, I need to feel secure. That's what hoarding's all about. Faith is God's the provider. He expects you to do the work too, but he's the provider. So again, we need a balance between the two. So there are 3 things about savings that we always need to be connected to, okay? Your purpose. Remember we talked about that real quick. How will savings help you live out your values, right? Like if you're going to fund a family goal or something, or you're supporting a cause, like you say, preparing for retirement. That was something. That was hard for me, really hard. I was in a, that's the thing. When you decide to go into retirement, that is the point in your life where you are making the most money you've ever made in your life. And it's like, you just, you drop off. So it's something you have to be prepared for. Leaving a legacy for your family. That's so important. So your stewardship is having security for unexpected expenses, right? Living within your means. We always talk about that. Trusting God. Acknowledging that the gift is from God. That's one thing I did when I was young, and maybe not super young, I should say. I was very arrogant. I got out of school. I got to at the time it was one of the big 6 public accounting firms in Philadelphia. 3-piece suit, white shirt, blue or red tie. That was it. Couldn't wear anything else. But then later on I started going, you know what? Waking up and going, shoot, I am not this smart. God is blessing us. I used to tell her that all the time. I said, I am not this smart. There is no way. But God kept moving us here, moved us to Connecticut, West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina now. I just kept following our heart. We prayed a lot about these moves and stuff. And the one time I thought I knew what was going on, I ended up going up to Shakopee, Minnesota. It's near where the Mall of America is. It was January 1st, I flew up there. Penn State was playing in the and not the championship game, but one of the what do they call it, the New Year's Bowls. We got our butts kicked. But anyway, that should have told me something. The next day I got into that job. It was for a roofing company, Certainty, I don't know if you know it, but I was so cocky. And it was all me. I didn't pray one bit. And boy, did that manager just chew me up. Every question he asked me, I looked at him like, I don't know the answer. I don't know that answer. And it was simple stuff. He was giving me easy financial stuff that I knew in Accounting 101. But I just, you know what? I truly believe God was like, this is not for you. Boom. And then he ended up picking us up from Connecticut and sending us to West Virginia. But anyway, we enjoyed our time there. We had a good time, didn't we, hon? So, let me see what we got here. Okay, yeah, so what practical steps can we take to strengthen our savings? Some things like what we've done is set up automatic payments. Then you don't tend to, you got that out of the way, the fixed ones, the ones that happen every month. Hopefully, I understand they're not fixed because the electric bill has gotten ridiculous. I'm preaching to the choir, right? It's a crazy thing because now she does the laundry based on the time of day of the time of year it is. She's like, it's 3 o'clock, turn everything off. You should see her. She's like, oh, I missed it. I can't do anything till 6. We walk away. If it's wet or not, sorry, it's in there. Doesn't matter. But anyway, things like that, reducing utilities, review your insurance rates annually, honestly, because your insurance companies are not going to help you out. I used to be an Allstate guy. Gosh, for how many years? 20-some years. Oh, my parents were Allstate for 20 years, so 50 years or whatever, Allstate. Went out first time, I'm like, you mean I can get the same thing for that? They never helped me, and I was with them for 20 years. But anyway, how about this? How about stop using credit cards, to get what you don't need, to impress people you don't like, with money you don't have. Seriously, that's where we've gotten. That's where we've gotten. So, we're doing good. We're doing good, actually. How about giving? Let's get into something fun, right? Actually, tell you the truth, giving is the most fun thing you can do with money. I am so serious. Beth and I, we've been very fortunate and blessed, and we've not even thought about it when there's been times of need, either in our church, with families, or people we know. Didn't even think, and you know what it is? Boom, great. That's it. Have it. It'll never be brought up again. It's not a loan. Don't even bring it up again. Done. It's just really exciting for me when I get to the giving part. I made it last, but in reality, it's first. We'll talk about that. So there is scripture about giving. 2 Corinthians 9, 6 through 8 talks about a cheerful giver, right? Even in Malachi, Old Testament, Malachi 3:10, bring the whole tithe into the storehouse. And then back into the New Testament, Acts 20:35, it is more blessed to give. Thank you. I was hopeful. I was going to say, hold. I'm like, you guys did great. So guess what? I have 4 points about giving. I seem to be a person of, yes, points. My wife says that when I'm praying at dinner. Sometimes I go into a sermon and she's just like, oh my word, I'm so hungry. Anyway, but we wait. We're doing well. So giving is an act of worship, right? Giving is not about money. It's about the heart. right? It starts here before you start doing this. It declares God is first, right? And I trust in him. And I'm not in control of my money. I mean, you are, but in reality, it could easily disappear quickly. Giving shifts the focus from ownership to stewardship. Remember, we talked about managing money, right? Like if you've probably, everybody, I don't know if everybody here has, but if you've worked for someone else, right? You're working for their money, right? And so you try to do your best so that they will continue to grow, and then you will be able to grow with them, right? Giving shifts us from fear to faith in him, right? Also from self to others, selflessness, not selfishness, selflessness. So how does giving shape your personal relationship with God? Here's a question for you. How does giving shape your personal relationship with God? By the way, I have answers for all of them anyway. I'll help you out. So how about actual demonstration of your faith? You know, put your money where your mouth is, right? You can say it all day long, but until you pull, I don't know where my wallet is, but anyway, where you pull it out, there it is. So if I put him first, meaning God, right, then he should receive the first of my resources. Right? Makes sense? Okay. And if I don't hold back giving, then I'm probably not going to hold back on any other part of my life for God. Right? So let's talk about how money competes for our loyalty. Okay? So when we give, it weakens greed. Okay? Remember before, when we spend a lot, we lose. You know, we lose that ability to control ourselves. It strengthens trust. Trust that God knows best. Isn't it? It's hard when you're young, if you've not given before, and then someone comes to you and says, please give to my foundation or my cause or whatever. What's the first thing that comes to your head sometimes? Let's say I came up to you, and I'll approach every one of you tonight. You don't know if it's a scam or not, right? Yeah. How much are you going to ask for? Unless it's the Girl Scouts, you just give them the money and then you move on. But yeah, you get what you get. So, but anyway, and it builds eternal perspective for the long game. Okay? Because I don't want to jump ahead. I'll slow down if I can. So you don't become generous by accident. You choose it. You choose to do it. Right? So I got a question for you. What would radical generosity look like in your current session of life? And I will just sit here silently until someone says something.
You give everything you own and don't let anybody know about it. Keep it to yourself.
Okay.
Most people want to get that on the back and do anything little. That's not what you do.
Maybe don't give everything you own, but yeah, let's say you give a big piece of what you own. I don't want to, because then I'm going to have to give to help you. Okay, Steve?
I'm not saying everything. I'm saying
I know what you meant. I know.
do something, you do it out of the grace of God. You don't do it, you get a pat on the back and say, look at me.
Exactly.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah. And how about you know of a family who's got a student and they're just starting college. What's to say you can't give to their 529 plan or write to their university, for them, of course, to pay tuition or something like that. That's one place. How about helping an elderly person live with dignity? A lot of us are very fortunate where we are. Some of us, some people it's not as fortunate. I'm not saying we're all, rich millionaires, but when you see someone like that, what can you do, right? How about just ensuring that here's one simple one, every teen gets to go to camp, if they can raise the money or not. Really push them to raise as much as they can, but if they can't, just give it to whoever's on the side and just say, just get them there. And I've known of people do that. They're like, in our teen group, they're like, you just let me know. If there's one or two that can't afford it, just let me know. Boom. And then just tell them off to the side, hey, you got a scholarship. Hey, let's go. Boom. No one needs to know any better, like you said. No one needs to know any better, right? So that's very important. So biblical giving is planned, okay? And I'm going to read this. This is actually one of the scriptures I actually wrote out all the way. It's 1 Corinthians 16:2. And it's, on the first day of every week, each one of you should set aside a sum of money in keeping with his or her income, saving it up so that when I, Paul, comes, no collections will have to be made. And so what does that mean? It means there's no last-minute collections. It means we are prepared for the needs of the church, of the people, of the community. It's already there. We're ready to go. And that's things like I know the church here does, where there's probably certain funds that if someone came in and they needed help, pastor's got a little bit of money. He can help them out. Blows people away. So that's pretty cool. Proportional. That's something too. People talk about, oh, well, I give this much money to the church. And, you don't give as much as I do. But in reality, the amount given here as a part of his resources might be more than mine. If I'm a billionaire, is $1 million really a lot of money? They always make it sound, I'm giving $1 million to this cause. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. It's equivalent to you giving a nickel to it, honestly. And I'm not, they earn their money. That's cool. But you have to make sure you understand that it's not about, as I say, equal giving. It's equal sacrifice. And if someone comes in to our church and they give $1, and that might be the $1 they use to buy soup or whatever, right? That is sacrifice. God sees that, okay? That's all I have to say about that. Last, joyful, right? Connect with the this is it. Connect with the ministries, if I could speak English, or the people you support. Don't just give your money. Doesn't mean you have to go and participate everything. Go see what's going on with your money. Go see what's actually happening. You'll probably be like, wow, they're doing all that with that little bit I gave you? Here's a little more. It might encourage you to do that. I just say that, why give your money to something you don't have any clue about, And a lot of us give because maybe a family member had that type of disease or that need or whatever, and that's good. There you go. So you're connecting. But again, I just want to make sure that we all just stay on top of that kind of stuff, Get involved. And when we talk about resources, because here we're talking about money, when I say resources, there's multiple things. There's talent, time, and then there's money, okay? Money's awesome, trust me. I used to be on several church boards. I know all about trying to keep money coming in, but boy, people giving their time, and if they're talented in any way, that's amazing. It's amazing what they can do for you. Let me just see where I'm at here. Okay, so what biblical giving is not, okay? It's not your leftovers. It's not occasional. It's not emotional driven. Don't go that way if you can help it. So I'm going to just cover a couple little things here, and then we're going to wrap up because I want to talk about something else real quick. But money used for God's kingdom, it impacts lives. You know it. You see it. Advances the gospel, right? How else do people in Ethiopia see the Bible in their language, that kind of thing? You know, giving them an English-based Bible is not going to help them, you know. How about things we do where we build things for them, like, or we offer money, or even we go and do a work and witness, where you might help them in building a well, right? That well might be there, hopefully, it might be there longer than you're alive. So you leave a legacy behind, you know? These people remember that. Everybody remembers that. How about the internal impact is, you know, planting a seed in a young life, you know? Our kids are watching us, watching you, watching everybody. And if they notice that you're just very much, you know, like you pull out a wad of money and you find that dollar bill and you put it in the little, I used to have offering plates. I don't even know if we do them anymore. But anyway, you put it in the plate or whatever and it's $1 and you got a wrap, you know, you got 20s that's this thick. You know, they're going to see that. You might be putting them on a direction they should not be going, because they might be going, well, if this person who I respect is not doing this, then why would I do it, right? So, and again, just demonstrating to others what's important to you as a Christian. So, lastly here, what steps can you take to grow in generosity? I think, Steve, you might have mentioned it earlier. Giving the first, right? What's the one thing you do every time I go, I'm getting paid today? And I don't even have it in my hands yet. But no, it's great. That's why I'm so blessed to have a partner like this. She is on top of things, and I'm like, oh! So I grab my phone and I do my math, and I'm like, okay, I feel better. I'm doing math. Okay, I'm back to feeling good. But yeah, you know, Beth and I, we started when we were young. That was a long time ago. A young couple. We had our first conversation about tithing. Okay, I didn't grow up in the church, by the way. I didn't come to Christ until about March 15th, 1992, which is 3 or 4 months before we got married. Okay, I grew up in a Jewish family, sort of interesting group. Not the Jewish group, but just my family. It was just different. You know, we were very much didn't go to church as much as we probably could have, should have. But anyway, so her and I got, say again?
That's called reform.
Yes.
There is a name for that.
Oh, I know. So, you know, we started off and we're like, we can't, like we had just moved to Connecticut, bought a house that was way too big for us, stupid, and had a newborn, a 4-day-old. And I remember going, how this tithe thing, I know it's there, but what are we going to do? And we agreed, like, okay, let's start small. So we started small. And then we kept growing. And then we kept growing. And then we kept growing. And then our pay got bigger. And then we kept growing. And before you know it, it happens. You don't have to do it all overnight. You don't have to go, oh, I've missed 30 years of doing this. Here's all my money. Take it, you know, whatever. No, you don't have to do that, right? But you have to start. Go ahead.
Phil, when young couples get together, they get counseling oftentimes. And it's usually a priest. And it's usually about spiritual matters because they can't go anywhere else. They gotta, you know, there's house there. But very often there's nothing discussed at that time about financial attitudes. And yet they're gonna launch a marriage where they depend on each other.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, where money goes, it becomes a major issue that they never addressed before they got married.
Yeah. So it's true. You're coming with your beliefs, your bank account, the other person's beliefs and history, yeah, your culture, right? And then you're smashing them together, and you're just hoping it works out. So it scares me too. It scares me too.
With separate bank accounts and separate lives.
Yes, that's something. You're getting under my collar now, man. Just you start that stuff. If anyone needs to talk to me, I will help you out with that, because that just irks me. But anyway, All right, so let me hit the last piece, and then I just want to talk to you about what I handed out to you guys. Nothing you have to do right now. So I'm going to bring it all together here. So when handed biblically, spending reflects discipline, okay? Saving reflects wisdom. We talked about that. Giving reflects trust, okay? When we're out of balance, spending leads to debt. Saving leads to fear, hoarding, those things. Lack of giving leads to selfishness, okay? So God calls us to a life where every dollar has a purpose aligned with his will, okay? As I said, I know I'm not smart enough. I learned that when I was young, and it was great. But I also learned that this is, my money is not my money. He's letting me use it. So by giving him just a tenth or whatever percent you can back, that is a blessing. That is a blessing. So I'm going to leave you with 3 questions. You don't have to answer any of them, but just to think about them, okay? And then we'll go into what I handed out. First question is, which area, spending, saving, or giving, is most challenging for you? Just think about that. I told you to be a well-rounded adult, you need to have all 3. Doesn't mean they balance 30, third. It could be different depending on where you are in your lives too. Especially if you have kids. The spending is a lot higher. Where do you feel God calling you to change? Okay. And then finally, this one is something that you can do personally, hopefully this week, is what one habit could you start this week that would shift your financial direction? Doesn't have to be huge. Remember, the little rudder moves the big ship. But, what habit could you change, Is it that you go to Starbucks every day? Is it, that's the fun one. I always like to start there with especially the millennials and the Gen Zs. I go, so how many times did you go to Starbucks? Because they're whining about how they don't have any money. So I'm like, we'll start there. It's always the easy one. But anyway, so thank you all. Yes? The last one? The second one. I'm saying, where do you feel God calling you to change? Like in saving, in spending, in giving, where do you think you need to change? And again, this is just you to think about. So, I guess I got a minute and a half. All right, so real quick, I'm going to talk about this, and then I'll do a closing prayer, and you're out, okay? So this summer, I'm going to present a series on money matters, okay? And I've given you a list of 3 that I'm thinking of putting together. One is the baby steps. This is the Dave Ramsey plan to live like no one else. Am I ready to retire or pre-retire, and why? How do I set myself up for success, for a successful life and future? Those are just some topics. So if you could think of any other topics that hey, if Phil does something on that, I definitely will be there. Please send me an email. Just, I just gave you a whole bunch of paper you could write on, but you just send me an email, let me know. Because this came to my heart. I talked to Jay about this month or so ago, and God's been hitting me every morning, like, you got to do this. So I've been writing a whole bunch of these. Now these are going to be like classes in the fellowship, not like this. So by the way, I won't be behind something. I usually be out here. I don't walk around. I did this for many years with youth. But anyway, so that's just something I'd ask for your assistance, because I'm here. This is something that I want to do. And as I said, after tax season, I got a little bit more time on my hands. If I don't do this for you, I'm probably going to have to do a lot of honey-do list things. So please give me as much as you want. I do, and she knows it. I've known her since we were 17. So anyway, so let's close in prayer, and then I can release you guys, okay? Dear Lord, everything we have belongs to you. Teach us to spend wisely, save faithfully, give generously. Guard our hearts from greed, fear, and selfishness. Help us to trust you fully, Lord, that we will use the resources for your glory and shape us into faithful stewards who honor you in all things. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, thank you all. Appreciate it.